A very good evening to all of you. So, in yesterday's class, we started with the discussion on public administration, and we started with the very first topic, the introduction topic, where we took up a discussion on the meaning, the scope, as well as the significance topic. And the very first thing that we discussed was our understanding related to what is the meaning of this very idea of public administration, where we started with an understanding of this term, the term being administration. And we concluded that administration, which has to do with to management or to take care of the business. We specifically started our discussion with that idea because we literally tried to interpret what this means. And we concluded that the term administration, which has been derived from Latin words ad as well as minister, and which means to take care of or to manage. And then we looked at certain definitions given by some very important scholars of public administration, starting with the definition given by E.N. Gladden, where where we understood that administration is looking after some, trying to achieve some predefined goals, and all the activities that are performed to achieve those predefined goals is what we call as the term administration. Okay, that is the first thing that we discussed. And yes, Gunjan, you have a doubt related to the term pompous. Now see, the term pompous simply means something which is celebrated. Okay, so when we say pompous word, it means it's a word which is often used. Okay, it is a word which is used regularly, often used. That is the meaning of the term pompous. Okay, and then we looked at the definitions given by two other individuals, the F.A. Negro as well as Herbert Simon. And both of these individuals, the definition had a similar meaning. And we concluded that when we talk about administration, administration is about doing what? Administration is about managing. That means when we take up a number of activities, we use the resources available, we take up a number of activities, and the objective that we have is to achieve a predefined common goal, and that is what the term administration means. Okay, we concluded this very idea. In fact, on the basis of your question itself, what we did was we also differentiated between the two terms, organization as well as administration. We differentiated between these two terms, and we understood that where organization is about an institution and it is about assembly of resources, administration is an activity with the resources to achieve the goals. Clear? We understood that particular part. After which we moved on to the term public administration, and we started our discussion with a diagram which is a circle representing the term administration. And then we divided administration into two different parts, where one, as you can see, the shaded part is what we call as public administration. And when we use the prefix public to the term administration, what now we are referring to is governmental administration. Okay, we are now referring to governmental administration. So no more we are talking about private administration, because when we were using the term administration would include both public and private. But when we use the term public administration, The term public administration is a reference to governmental administration, and we have now excluded private administration from that. Okay. Then we again came to an understanding of the meaning of the term public administration through certain definitions given by certain scholars, where we looked at first Woodrow Wilson's definition. And Woodrow Wilson's definition is where we saw a very, very important point, which is Wilson defines the term administration as as an institution and an activity which is for enforcement of or execution of law. Now, what we correlated the idea here is to the concept of dichotomy, and we understood that it was Wilson's concept of dichotomy which laid the foundation of the discipline of public administration. It was a discipline of public administration. He laid the foundation of it by giving the concept of dichotomy, because before that, administration was not a separate discipline. Rather, public administration was studied within the domain of political science. It was studied within the domain of political science, and it was the efforts of Woodrow Wilson who emphasized the need to separate administration from politics. And he emphasized on dichotomy as the reason for this, this separation. He talked about how the domain is different. Public administration is a domain which deals with execution of laws, and politics is a domain which deals with not the execution of laws, rather what it deals with is the making of laws. So law making or policy making is what politics does. Administration simply involves itself in execution of it. And then we did what? Then we drew this diagram to understand that when we classify the different organs of the state into three organs, the executive, the judiciary, as well as the legislature, when there is a reference being made by Woodrow Wilson where he says that administration has to do with execution, which means that what he's talking about is that public administration is not involved or has nothing to do with the legislative or the judicial branches of the state, and it concerns itself, it is restricted to only the executive branch. Clear? And then we saw something very similar being said by L.D. White, because L.D. White talks about execution of public policies or enforcement of public policies, which is nothing but the same idea which was presented by Woodrow Wilson. Okay? But then we saw a very different view, where we saw a scholar like Willoughby who emphasizes that public administration could be seen as two views, or there could be two perspectives to see public administration. One perspective is the narrower view, and the second perspective is the broader view. But when we are taking the broader view, we include all the three branches, all the three organs. Whereas when we take the narrower view, in the narrower view, according to the narrower view, we are just talking about only the executive branch. We are not talking about the legislative branch. We are not talking about the judicial branch. And he, in his definition, further says that public administration could actually have a broader view, but when we are the students of public administration, we should be more concerned with the narrower view. This is what he said. And this is where we had ended our discussion yesterday. Okay. Now, remember, every class that I start will always be a recap of the last class. Okay? We will always start with a recap of what we had discussed in the last class, and you will take this opportunity to first of all revise what we had discussed, and along with it address any queries that you have. If you have any queries, if you have any questions related to whatever we have talked about yesterday, now this is the time where you will use the next coming 5 minutes, 10 minutes to address any queries, any questions that you have. Because optionals require constant revision. Okay? It requires revision. And if you come to the class without revision, very likely you will not be able to understand what I'm saying. And as I have already mentioned yesterday, that I personally believe in the very idea that whenever we are looking at our optionals, we tend to make a mistake by emphasizing on the tough concepts and overlooking the basics. According to me, if you know the basics well, there will be absolutely no problem that you are going to face while you are, addressing these. If that does not happen, if your basics are not, no, you're not very ready with your basics, then you are going to face some problems. Okay. Anyways, so if you have any queries, please, ask your questions. I will address it, then I will move on. Sir, how LD White and Wilson are similar? Because White talks about enforcement of public policies, but for public policy, lawmaking is necessary. See, Eunice, public policies and laws are similar because laws are examples of public policy. है ना? So a law is an example of a public policy. Because what is a public policy? When we use this term public policy, what is a public policy? Just think of it. Public policy. So have we talked about the term public before? Have we understood the meaning of the term public before? Anyone? In yesterday's class, did we talk about the term public? And what is the meaning of the term public? Who will tell me? Absolutely correct. We have talked about the term public, the prefix public, which means government. Okay. So when we say government or public policy, what we mean is policies of the government. Okay. What we mean is government policies or policies of the government. Okay. Now, when we talk about this term policies, what is the meaning of this term policy? The meaning of the term policy is any decision of the government is its policy. Any decision of the government. In a very laymanish terms, है ना, बिल्कुल सिंपल तरीके से अगर हम समझने की कोशिश करें तो हम पॉलिसीज को क्या कहेंगे? We will say these are decisions of the government. Okay? So public policies means decisions. The term public means government. So what we are now talking about is the decisions of the government. Clear? Now, tell me, can we say the laws that are there, laws are also the decisions of the government? Can we say that? Yes or no? The laws that are being enacted, can we or cannot we say that the laws enacted are also the decisions of the government? Laws enacted are the decisions of the government, yes or no? Of course, yes. Yes. So, public policy will include laws. It would include laws. And therefore, when LD White says that it is enforcement of public policies, and when Woodrow Wilson says it is about execution of law, both the ideas are the same. There is no difference between the two. They are the same ideas. Clear? Now, there was another question that was asked by someone else. I forgot to read the question. So, I think Eunice, you had asked a question. After Eunice, also someone had asked a question. I think Akhtar or Tarun. No, you had asked a question. Can you please repeat the question so that I answer it and then we move on? I think it was you, Akhtar. So, any questions that you have, please ask those questions to me now so that we can now move on. White's definition. See, LD White says public administration consists of all those operations having for the purpose the fulfillment of enforcement of public policy. It simply means that according to LD White, what is public administration? According to LD White, public administration means all activities undertaken to execute or implement public policies. This is what it means. All activities that are undertaken to execute or implement public policy. That is what the definition is. Okay, all activities, which means in simple terms the same idea, that whatever the executive arm does, because who is responsible for implementation? Who is responsible for implementation? The responsibility of implementation lies with the executive branch. What are those activities? Everything that is done for implementation. Okay? So when we are implementing policies, okay. So Nivedita, that is the reason why I think at the end of yesterday's class you talked about change of timing. See, right now I am in Prayagraj, and that is the reason why, because I'm here. So uh, all the other times, that is, if we talk about the morning shift that is there, I have 2 more classes in the morning shift. Okay, and in the evening I have this class. So for now, for maybe the next 10 days or so, we will have the same timing. And what you can do is, if you are no, either you can, either you can watch the recording of your general studies class, or you can watch the recording of your public administration class. And when, if you're suppose watching the recording of public administration class, at the beginning of every session, that is the first 15 minutes, when I take up revision and I ask questions, you can come, and any doubts that you have, you can, you can, you can maybe ask me your doubts so that I resolve it. Okay. This is what I can do as of now. Once I'm back in Delhi, so in that case, the morning shift that would be there, then your classes would be held in the morning shift. Okay. For now, this is the time that I have. Okay. Okay. What are those activities? Yes, coming back to the question that is being asked by Gunjan. The question is, what are the activities that are there? Now, let us understand that also. Activities which are there for what? Activities which are there for execution of policies. Okay. So first of all, when when there is a policy made, now when there is a policy made, so what does the policy contain? Any policy will primarily contain broad directives related to how the policies are to be implemented. Okay. And most importantly, a policy contains what goals are to be achieved. Okay. So generally you will find that what are policies? Policies are goals. Policies are majorly what? Policies are majorly a set of goals. Okay. Now, once the policy is made, that is, the goals are decided, now what happens? Now there is a need to implement them. Okay. So, in implementation, first thing that would be required would be resources. Okay. Let's take an example. If we take an example of a policy like the Ayushman Bharat scheme. So all of you know what the Ayushman Bharat scheme is? I hope all of you know what the Ayushman Bharat scheme is. So what is the primary goal that the Ayushman Bharat scheme has? So you will find that this particular scheme, also called as Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, the PMJ, है ना? Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Now this is a policy related to health, and the objective of this policy is, first of all, to create health centers, to create health centers, to create health centers, and these health centers should be equipped with, it should be equipped with doing what? It should be equipped for providing secondary and tertiary health care. What am I saying? It should be equipped with providing secondary health care, secondary, and along with secondary, the tertiary health care. Tertiary health care. Okay. Along with the health centers, the policy also contains another part which talks about that there would be a coverage of 5 lakh. There would be a coverage of 5 lakh rupees worth health insurance for every family. That is also there. है ना? For every family, there will be a health insurance, and that health insurance would cover an amount of 5 lakh rupees. So any tertiary or secondary health, health related issues that come up, or any health issues which require secondary care or tertiary care, now there, if the family goes to a nearby hospital and the bill, that is the amount that is there, is approximately a certain amount is there, it would be covered under the scheme. So the family will not have to pay for it, and it would be covered by the government. Okay, so this is the policy. Okay, goals are decided. Now you can see it talks about health centers. So health centers involve, and that too secondary and tertiary health centers. प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर की बात नहीं हो रही है यहां पर. प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर क्या होता है? प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर इज कि एक डॉक्टर है, वो कुछ बेसिक चेकअप्स कर रहा है. If someone has a fever or someone has a problem, they would go to the doctor. The doctor would give basic medicines, पैरासीटामोल दे दिया और ये सारी चीजें. क्या होता है? That's basically primary health care. Secondary health care includes various kinds of tests that is required, and tertiary healthcare is about what? If there is a invasive therapy required, which requires maybe an operation or something like that, that's a part of tertiary healthcare. Clear? And this has been emphasized that this health centers would be responsible or would be capable of doing it. तो अब इस तरह के हेल्थ सेंटर्स के लिए आपको रिसोर्सेज की जरूरत है, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स की जरूरत है. ह्यूमन रिसोर्स इन द फॉर्म ऑफ डॉक्टर्स, हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल्स, एक्सपर्ट्स, है ना? ऑल ऑफ देम आर व्हाट? दे आर ह्यूमन रिसोर्स. देन यू वुड रिक्वायर also other material resources. So resources would be required. Okay, now it is not just about resources. There would also be certain rules and regulations. There would also be requirement of certain rules and regulations. Like what? How do we recognize who gets the benefit of this? है ना? किन families को मिलेगा, किन individuals को मिलेगा, और who are not qualified as the beneficiaries here. Who do not qualify? Who qualifies? ये भी जरूरी है. तो उसके लिए हमें कुछ रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस बनाने पड़ेंगे, है ना? कुछ रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस बनाने पड़ेंगे. हमें एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्ट्रक्चर बनाना पड़ेगा कि ओके, दिस पॉलिसी वुड बी इट वुड बी अंडर दिस पर्टिकुलर मिनिस्ट्री. Under this ministry, these are the organizations. Out of these organizations, organization A would be responsible for its implementation, and so on. Clear? There will be a system required for what? For supervising the implementation of this policy. There is a need for citizens' participation here, so as to see that everything functions well without cases of corruption or malpractices. तो ये सारी चीजें क्या हैं? ये सारी चीजें हैं the activities that you take up for execution of a policy. It is basically what is being said here. ठीक है? Gunjan, have you understood this? Yes. Is it understood? I hope it is. ठीक है? और फिर हमने इस आइडिया को भी देख लिया है. So, if all of you have understood what I discussed yesterday, what I will be doing today is I would now be moving on. So if you have understood this, one last time, you can, you have a minute, 1 minute before I move on. So if you still have any questions related to yesterday's class, please go ahead, ask me those questions before we move on. Okay, let's move on. So we are not yet done with all the definitions. Let's take up another one or two more definitions before we end our discussion on the meaning of public administration. And here, what we do or what we should be doing is we should now be starting with a definition which has been given by an individual called P. McQueen. Okay. And what is the definition? Public administration is the administration related to the operations of the government, whether local or central. Okay. Operations of the government, whether local or whether it is central. Clear? Now, this definition is a very simple definition. And this definition, according to this definition, it says public administration is administration of government. It stands for what? It stands for administration of the government. So unlike Woodrow Wilson or L.D. White, McQueen does not emphasize on which branch and simply says that it is about what? It is about every branch, but it is about the government. So whatever the government does, it is not being emphasized in a specific branch of the government. Rather, what is being said is that it is the administration of the government. Everything that the government does or that is done in the government falls under the domain of what? It falls under the domain of public administration. A very, very simple definition of what public administration is. Okay. But let us come to another definition which the scholar which we had also seen yesterday, F.A. Negro. And what is the definition given by F.A. Negro? Under inverted commas, you will write Public administration is a cooperative group effort. Public administration is a cooperative group effort in public settings. Cooperative group effort in public settings, comma, it covers all the three branches. It covers all the three branches, that is the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, and their interrelationship, comma, it has an important role. It has an important role in formulation of public policy, in formulation of public policy, and thus is a part of the political process, comma, it is different in significant ways from private administration, but is closely associated with private groups and individuals, in providing services to the community, in providing services to the community, inverted commas closed and full stop. Now read this particular definition. Read this definition and tell me what our understanding of public administration dictates till now. How is this definition different from it? How is this definition different from it? Can anyone tell me what our understanding of the definition of public administration has been till now, and how is this definition different? It talks about all the three branches, whereas we had yesterday emphasized on one single branch, which was the executive branch. Okay. It includes private organizations which are associated with public service delivery. Okay. It's not just about operations of executive branch, but all the branches along with participation of private groups. Absolutely correct. Now, let us one by one decipher what exactly does this particular definition mean. Okay. Let us look at the very first thing that the definition says. The very first thing that the definition says is that it is a cooperative group effort in public setting. A cooperative group effort in public settings is what is being said here. Okay. A cooperative group effort in public settings. Now, let us try and understand this. Cooperative group effort. This is exactly how we defined administration yesterday. In a public setting, meaning in the governmental setting. Okay. So, first it says cooperative group effort, which means it is referring to administration. Public setting means governmental or public. Okay. So administration that goes on in the government, administration that is undergoing in government administration is what this very idea means. Okay. Secondly, it says it covers all the three branches. It covers all the three branches. It covers all the three branches, meaning that it does what? It covers all the three organs: the executive, the legislature, as well as the judiciary. All the three branches are covered here. So this is where the primary difference between what we had seen. Now, what we had seen that Woodrow Wilson or L.D. White said, or even Willoughby was talking about, that if we are looking at public administration, if we are talking about public administration, we should be concerned only with the narrow view. This is what even Willoughby said. Though he did emphasize that public administration has to do with all the three branches, this is the broader view. But when we are studying the discipline of public administration, we should be concerned only with the narrow view, is what he said. So yesterday's definition of public administration and today Negro's definition of public administration, we see a significant difference there, Because what we see here is that here it says that not only is the executive branch covered, but also the legislature and the judicial branches that are there, these branches are also covered here. Clear? Now, along with it, what it further says, another very important aspect, is that it does not say that public administration is only about execution. As we had seen, LD White saying what? It's about enforcement of public policy, only the enforcement of public policy. But that is not what Negro says. Negro says is that it is very much involved in the formulation of public policies as well. Okay? So, not only execution, not only execution of public policies, not only execution of, but also formulation of public policy. Formulation of public policy. So yes, what you say, Gunjan, is absolutely correct. Negro is an individual who does not accept or subscribe the dichotomy as given by Woodrow Wilson. Okay, so this is there. Thirdly, and this third aspect of his definition of public administration makes it more contemporary in nature. Why am I saying this? Because he says that public administration is different. Public administration is different from private administration. Public administration is different from private administration, but is closely related to it. Is closely related to it to deliver public services, to deliver public services to the community. To the community is what he says. Okay, so public administration is different from private administration, but it is also closely related to private administration in the delivery of public services to the community. And this is what we see as of today. And yesterday, this is also, no, this, there was a reference that I made to this. When I made a reference by saying that if you look at the government policies as of today and what the government's vision is, like the vision of ensuring that India transforms into a developed country by 2047, that is when we celebrate 100th year of India's independence. The 100th year of India's independence should be, by that time we should achieve the status of a developed country. And yesterday I said that what it means is that in order to achieve this, we do require the private sector playing its role. And this is what you see here. This is what you see, that private sector has as much a stake in service delivery, as the public sector, is what is being emphasized here. Okay, this is what is being emphasized here. Okay, Public administration is different from private administration, but it is closely related to it, so that both of them together could do what? Both of them together could deliver public services. Okay? Yes, public-private partnership is definitely an example of it. Okay? Public-private partnership is an example of how private sector partners with the public sector to deliver public services. Okay? Now, there is a question being asked by Gunjan where does he or did he indicate towards the NGOs? See, he says that numerous private groups and individuals, and look at that, read that line, almost the last sentence very carefully. He says numerous private groups or individuals. So numerous private groups does not just include the corporates or businesses. It can include even organizations which are not governmental. So if it is a non-governmental organization, it is covered under his definition as well. Okay? So what you can see is that the definition given by Negro is a very comprehensive and a very broad definition of public administration, which is very different from what Wilson, or for that matter L.D. White, had to say related to public administration. Okay, it's a very different aspect. Clear? Now, coming back to the same organs aspect, legislature, executive, and judiciary. According to the last two definitions that we see of McQueen and F.A. Negro, what do you say? Will public administration, is public administration confined within one of the branches? Or is public administration, it is related to more than one or all the three branches? What do you think? What would be the right way? Would this be the right way? Can we say this is what public administration is? Or would this be the right way, where we say that the whole, this is what public administration is? Yes, it is all the three branches. In fact, it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that, and it is not just about the three branches. It also talks about its correlation or its interrelation or its interrelatedness with the private sector. Okay? So this is basically what it is. And again, remember this, because we will be taking up this discussion later on also, where we will be emphasizing on what is the scope of the discipline of public administration. And while we take up a discussion on the scope of the discipline, we will be talking about the broader scope, or for that matter, the narrower scope. And there we will be repeating this. Okay? Anyone having any questions related to what we have just discussed. No, they were not contemporaries. By looking at the definition itself, we can understand that these scholars that are there, these scholars, no, these scholars are not contemporary, because Woodrow Wilson's era was the era of the late 19th century, and scholars like Negro are the scholars of the 21st century. That is the contemporary century that we are a part of. So there is a huge difference between them. So while we are talking about Woodrow Wilson, so during the Wilson's era, even a conceptualization of the private sector playing such a role was not possible. So they are not contemporaries. Okay? Any questions? Of course, the whole idea does evolve. The whole idea does evolve. No questions? Okay. So let us move on to our understanding of significance. Give a subheading here and write down significance of public administration. Tarun, it is not private groups, individuals. It is private groups, comma individuals. ठीक है, डिफरेंस समझ में आया? Private groups, comma individuals, meaning there is an involvement with private groups, and along with it there is also involvements with private individuals. Both groups and individuals will play an important role in delivery of public services. This is what it means. ठीक है? Tarun, is your doubt clear? ठीक है. Let's move on and let us discuss the significance of public administration. Okay, now we will be talking about its significance. Now, according to you, what do you have to say about the significance of public administration? How significant do you find public administration to be? And if you consider public administration to be significant, why? What role does public administration play that makes it so significant, if at all? Tell me. What is your view? Is public administration a significant organization? If you find public administration to be significant, what is the reason for that significance? Why, according to you, it is significant? execution of laws without which they are vague. Okay. Anything else? Any other views? Hmm. Any other views? Basically, if we talk about a cleaner India, but we spit chewing gum on the road and say Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, is a joke. No, that's absolutely fine, Hardik. How are you correlating it? How are you correlating it to the significance of public administration? Better allocation of resources could result into inclusive development, law and order maintaining, not mentioning, maintaining of law and order. Okay. Only law making does not suffice. It needs to be properly executed as well. ठीक है? Absolutely correct. Without the concept of state is not a reality. Without administration, the state is not a reality. Okay. It turns laws and government policies into real world actions. Okay. It acts as a bridge between government and the people. It protects the rights, safety, and property of citizens. Okay. Formulation of public policy itself requires understanding of public administration. ठीक है? Moves the country uniformly towards a singular goal or purpose or of progress. Okay. ठीक है? Yes. You have the right idea. Okay. All of you have talked about, you have presented, no, you have presented a very different dimensions, but you are absolutely correct in the manner in which you are basically visualizing administration and what administration does. Let's start with the implementation role itself. देखो, without, if we even think of administration as an organization which is just involved in the implementation of or the execution of policies, and as it is being said by LD White, or for that matter it is being emphasized upon by Woodrow Wilson, they say that administration is only responsible for execution of laws. If we only take that perspective, still administration is very important, because administration would require no, it is basically going to take up execution, and without proper execution of laws, the law itself does not make any sense, because making of laws is only a part of, no, it's only part of the whole act. Until and unless the law is executed, until it is executed, it does not make any sense, है ना? So every law or every policy, to achieve the goals that it desires, it has to be properly executed. And who executes those policies? That is where the role of public administration comes. Clear? Secondly, the state that is there, like someone has mentioned this, that without proper administration, state itself does not make any sense. The concept of state is not reality. That's what Geetika says. है ना? The concept of state is not a reality. What you have to understand here is that whatever is the nature of state, देखो modern state जो है ना, modern state is an administrative state. It's a welfare state, meaning जो आज का स्टेट है उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ये है कि वो वेलफेयर एक्टिविटीज टेकअप करे. वी जस्ट सॉ एन एग्जाम्पल, द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ द आयुष्मान भारत स्कीम. सो टुडे द स्टेट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर वेरियस रोल्स. नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स is what the state is doing, है ना? Number of things, not a particular only one thing. Everything is, almost everything becomes the responsibility of the state, है ना? Just think of it. What do we do? What do we do? At all times, we are blaming the state for everything. We blame the state for everything, है ना? आप देखो हम क्या करते हैं. अगर there is a lack of employment, we blame the state. If there is issues related to infrastructure, we blame the state. If there are issues related to health, we blame the state. Even if, if you look at currently what is happening, is India is facing monsoons. So because of the kind of weather, the rain that is there is going to be natural calamities and there are going to be some issues related to it. If these things are not managed, what we do is blame the state. So whether it is education, whether it is health, whether it is employment, whether it is infrastructure, everything comes to be the responsibility of the state. Now, the question is that, yes, of course, the state is responsible for it, but ultimately, the responsibility lies with whom? Ultimately, to deliver infrastructure for better health, for better education, ultimately it boils down to the work done by administration. So if we want to achieve the goals of a welfare state, the goals of the welfare state can be achieved. The goals of the welfare state that is there, the goals of the welfare state can be achieved only with efficient administration. We cannot achieve those goals without administration. We can safely say, as Gunjan has very correctly mentioned, and there is a scholar who has, in order to emphasize on the importance of public administration, his name is Donaham. And Donaham says that if the civilization fails, if our civilization fails, it would be mainly because of the breakdown of administration. There is no other better way to emphasize on the importance of public administration other than what we just, the statement that has been given by Donaham. The success or failure of the civilization, not just the state, the success or failure of the civilization is dependent upon administration, public administration to be specific. Clear? So there are number of activities that the administration takes up, including execution, but not limited only to execution. Remember, the Negro's approach or the Negro's definition reflects the modern view, and the modern view rejects the dichotomy concept. Okay, so whether it is formulation of public policies, whether it is implementation of public policies, whether it is about welfare activities, whether it is about anything, all of it is done, including, as you have written, maintenance of law and order. All of it is done by administration, and therefore the importance or the significance of administration. Okay, we will look at some statements given by certain scholars as well. But before we get into that, no, before we get into the statements part, just write this. Write this. Write this down. G. Kaiden, Gerald Kaiden, has elaborated the contemporary role of public administration as following. And then point by point you will write. The first point you will write. The first point you will write. Preservation of the polity. Preservation of the polity. Preservation of the polity. Second point. Maintenance of stability and order. Maintenance of stability and order. The third point. Institutionalization. Institutionalization of socio-economic changes. Institutionalization of socio-economic changes. Fourth point. Management of large scale commercial activities. Management of large scale commercial activities. Next, economic growth and economic development. Economic growth and economic development. Next, protection of weaker section of the society. protection of weaker section of the society, next formation of public opinion, formation of public opinion, and one more point, influencing public policies and political trends. Influencing public policies and political trends. Full stop. Okay, what is this? These are all the role the administration plays today. Like the very first thing that you have written is the preservation of polity, which simply means that the kind of political structure that exists in any country, that political structure, maintaining that political structure, continuity of that political structure is one of the roles, one of the most significant roles played by public administration. ठीक है? देखो, in very simple sense, अगर हम इस तरह से समझे, इंडिया इज अ पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी, है ना, इसमें तो कोई डाउट नहीं है हमें कि इंडिया में इंडिया इज अ डेमोक्रेसी, और जब हम डेमोक्रेसी की बात करते हैं तो जो पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम इंडिया में है, उस पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम को हम पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम बोलते हैं, बिकॉज देर आर कंट्रीज लाइक द यूएस एंड दे आर व्हाट they are having the presidential system. We are having a parliamentary system. A parliamentary system में what is the necessity to ensure India is a democratic system and a parliamentary system? Elections जरूरी है ना? There is conduct of elections after a specific interval, and the administrative system that is there, the administrative system of a country, public administration, ensures that happens. So there are organizations and there are civil servants, bureaucrats who are a part of administration, and they ensure that this system continues. India remains a democracy, and there is a conduct of elections. India remains a parliamentary system. It is the public administration of that country which ensures that. है ना? Just think of the role that bureaucracy plays during elections. है ना? जब कल आप एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में रहोगे और you will be heading a district, मान लो आप डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर हो किसी स्पेसिफिक डिस्ट्रिक्ट के, तो जब आप उस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर होगे तो आप उस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में क्या करोगे? आप उस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में you will be responsible for n number of things, including acting as the returning officer. है ना? समझते हो who is a returning officer? Returning officer is someone who accepts the nomination papers of those individuals who are contesting Lok Sabha elections. है ना? So you will play a role in elections as well. The paramilitary forces, the CAPF, the central police forces that are there, what they do? They ensure smooth conduct of elections. That means, in a way, that the political system that is present in a country, that political system is ensured, the existence of that political system is ensured by administration. Second, maintenance of stability and order. Law and order maintenance is the role of what? It is the role of administration. Thirdly, institutionalization of socio-economic changes. Now, what does this mean? Institutionalization of socio-economic changes? Meaning, all the activities which are undertaken for socio-economic development. All the activities undertaken for socio-economic development, they are undertaken by the, again, the administration. Public administration is the institution which undertakes those activities, है ना? तो ऐसा नहीं है कि socio-economic development is, it is something which may or may not happen or something like that. No, there is a very specific way. There is a specific institutions, the administration, and administration continuously, dedicatedly, permanently is involved in the process of undertaking socio-economic development. Next, you have written maintenance of large-scale commercial services or activities as well. Not only does administration involve itself in welfare activities, but it is very much involved in also commercial activities. है ना? Large scale business organizations owned by the government. Who runs them? है ना? आपने सुना होगा. Organizations like the Steel Authority of India Limited, or the BHEL, etc., etc. There are so many other organizations which are they are owned by the government, meaning they are government companies, and such commercial operations that are undertaken by these companies, who are responsible for doing it? Again, it's the administration responsible for doing it. Next, protection of the weaker section of the society. Again, when we talk about socio-economic development, you can do what? You can correlate it. The ensuring that the weaker section of the society are not economically, in any way, they are not economically done what? They are not economically, they are not economically exploited, or the administration of social justice, economic justice, ensuring that the weak, the vulnerable section, they enjoy equality of rights. All, and not just equality of rights, but also positive discrimination, where some welfare activities, ensuring that the beneficiaries of those welfare activities are the weaker section. Who takes that up? Again, it's public administration who is responsible for it. Or for that matter, if we talk about formation of public opinion, what does the people, what is the people thinking about the government is very much dependent upon the role played by administration, है ना? जैसे गुंजन ने लिखा पेपर लीक, है ना, कि हम गवर्नमेंट को ब्लेम करते हैं. रिसेंटली इंडिया सॉ a very important you can say event where there was a protest related to a specific examination and the paper leaks that happened there, which resulted into the minister resigning as well. Now, if we look at that very organization and we see that, okay, the ministry is not performing well, who is responsible for it? The responsibility lies primarily with public administration. That is, the administrative setup that is there within the ministry is responsible for it. More than the minister, the lack of effectiveness of that institution is because of administration, not because of politics. Primarily because of administration. Yes, politics is also there, but primarily because of administration. है ना? So, what people think about the government, what people view, different governmental institutions, how they view those governmental institutions, again, it is dependent upon what? It is dependent upon administration. And finally, influencing public policies and political trends. देखो, पॉलिटिशियंस जो होते हैं ना, दे आर लेमैन. They do not necessarily have a specialized understanding of how administration functions. So they are very much dependent upon public administration. They're dependent on public administration. And they, when it comes to their opinions, when it comes to advices, when it comes to policy formulation, all of this, there is a key role that is played there by administration, without which it would be like, it would be like the political wheels would not move without administration. Policies would not be formulated, or if policies are formulated, these policies may lack the necessary depth to deal with the problems or achieve the goals that it wants to. Why? Because it would lack the administrative expertise, which is absolutely mandatory. So everything that happens from top to bottom, from formulation to implementation, from from maintenance of law and order to ensuring welfare, everything is done and is dependent upon the effectiveness of public administration. And this is exactly what Gerald Kaiden is talking. He's actually emphasizing on it. Okay? Is this understood? Any questions before we move on? Because there is one more thing that I would like to deal with today before we end the discussion. Any questions? Any questions? Is it understood? If you don't have any questions, give a subheading, write growing importance. Growing importance. Meaning what? In recent times, public administration has further become more important. And we are now discussing the reasons for that. है ना? जितना इंपॉर्टेंस पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का है, जितना इंपॉर्टेंस पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का है, आज के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में वो इंपॉर्टेंस बढ़ गया है. It's become more important. And what we are now going to discuss is why is that, why has there been a growing importance? Okay, that is what we are talking about. Okay. Okay. So growing importance, what is the, what are the reasons? Write down. First point. First point, write down. The scientific and technological developments. The scientific and technological developments have led to vast increase in the scope of has led to vast increase in the scope of The activities of public administration. The activities of public administration. Clear? Full stop. Second point, the Industrial Revolution, resulted into a socio-economic divide in the society, socio-economic divide in the society, forcing the government to take up new responsibilities, forcing the government to take up new responsibilities. Full stop. Third point, the emergence of a welfare state committed to the welfare of the people, committed to the welfare of the people, has given rise to service state thereby further increasing the role and importance of public administration, further increasing the role and importance of public administration. Full stop. Next, the adoption of economic planning, by the modern state, to achieve the goals of welfare, has increased the scope and role of public administration. Scope and role of public administration. Full stop. Next, the phenomena such as population explosion, population explosion, comma, increase in natural calamities, increase in natural calamities, increase in natural calamities, comma, decline of social harmony, decline of social harmony, social harmony, etc., etc., has increased the complexity, has increased the complexity in the process of governance, in the process of governance, and thereby, and thereby increasing the scope and the role of public administration. The scope and the role of public administration. Public administration. Full stop. Okay. For these reasons, what you don't have to write this. What we see is that for these reasons there has been an increase in the scope, in the role that is played by public administration, starting with the technological advancements, the advancements that you see in science and technology. Case in point, if we talk about artificial intelligence. So what has artificial intelligence done? Artificial intelligence has it has had both impacts. That means artificial intelligence has a positive impact, and artificial intelligence can be used for administration. But at the same time, artificial intelligence also has had negative impacts. Like if we see the problems like deepfakes or rise of cyber crimes, such factors are today influencing the way a country is governed. It is influencing governance. Now, these things require it requires specialized institutions to deal with these problems, or for that matter, if we need to leverage artificial intelligence for providing effective services in administration, again, specialist organizations are required. And again, there is a role of administration there. There is a role of administration there. Similarly, if we talk about, the rise of welfare state, just going back a few, maybe around a century, what we had was a police state. A police state meaning what? A state which has limited responsibilities. A state which has the responsibility of maintaining law and order, collecting taxes. That's it. अगर हम इंडिया के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में देखते हैं, ब्रिटिश इंडिया, British India, and in the British period, what was the role of administration then? Administration was not responsible for welfare. Administration was not responsible. It was not responsible for development. Administration restricted itself to only performance of activities, primarily law and order administration, and at the same time revenue collection, maintenance of revenue. That was what a police state was. Now what you see is that there has been a change. There has been a considerable change. And what do we see today? What we see today is that the police state has given way to a welfare state. And a welfare state is what? A welfare state, as you have written, is a service state. It is a service state. Meaning that now the state that is there, the state now is responsible for not just limited functions like only maintenance of law and order or revenue administration. And now it has been given the role of administration of welfare. So now everything that we just discussed, everything comes to be the responsibility of administration. Whether it is development of infrastructure, whether it is education, health, nutrition, other services, everything becomes the responsibility of administration. So where the administration had a very limited scope when it was a police state, today the scope has enlarged. Today the scope of administration has enlarged. And this enlargement that you see is exponential. It's not just a simple enlargement. There has been an exponential enlargement of what role and activities are being undertaken by administration. Thirdly, we have talked about what? We have talked about the socio-economic problems that has come up because of industrial revolution. है ना? अब ये क्या है? देखो, industrial revolution has divided the society into the rich and the poor. ठीक है? क्योंकि कुछ लोग हैं जिनके पास factors of production है. They have ownership of factors of production. And they employ people who are generally poor, and they further get more and more rich because of that. And what are they? No, what is happening? They are getting further more and more rich because of that. अब इसका consequence क्या हुआ है? There have been some problems that the society and that has emerged in the society. And because of that, the state has now, there has been more responsibilities added to the state. Previously, that was not the case. Next, what you have written is about economic planning. With the adoption of welfare state, welfare goals, तो अब ये welfare goals हम कैसे achieve करेंगे? इन welfare goals को achieve करने के लिए या इन services को हमें अगर deliver करना है, so we would have to do what? We have to enter into a domain, an absolutely new domain, which is the domain of economic planning. Now, who does this? Who will do it? The responsibility again lies with administration. So with the emergence of economic planning and the responsibility of planning going to administration, what happens is, what you will see is that there is a further enlargement of the role of what administration does. And then comes one last point, which is that there is some reasons for growth of complexity of administration, है ना? What has happened? Why has the administration become more complex? Why has governance become more complex? Governance has become more complex, administration has become more complex because there has been some phenomena which are the contemporary phenomena. Like today, because of number of reasons, there are problems related to the society. There is social disharmony. And what does this disharmony do? This disharmony, it specifically creates law and order issues. It creates problems related to law and order. Then along with this, you will see there are issues related to disaster management, or there has been number of disasters, natural calamities, which you will find that that has emerged. So this requires what? This requires a new addition to the already complex administration, which is what? What is the new addition? The new addition is disaster management. Disaster management. Similarly, there has been population related issues. There has been a population explosion, not just in India. Yes, India is at the it's the leader there, but along with it, you will find that this is true for the world's population. So what is this resulting into? Further complexities, है ना? Further complexities. How further complexities? देखो, अगर पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन हो रहा है, पॉपुलेशन एक्सपोनेंशियली बढ़ रहा है, तो resources, there would be demand for more and more resources. Where would the government come up with those resources? It becomes difficult. There are issues related to climate, environment, ecology because of population. Population contributes to disasters, and so on. The multidimensional nature of this problem can be understood. Now, what has all of this done? All of this has further contributed to the increase in role of public administration. It has further contributed to that. It has further contributed to it. And that is the reason why, if Donaham says that if the civilization fails, if our civilization fails, it would be because of the breakdown of administration. Do we agree to him or not? Tell me, do we agree to Donaham's statement that if the civilization fails, this failure of civilization would be because of the failure of administration, the breakdown of administration? Do we agree to this idea or not? Tell me, what is your view? Rohit says he agrees. What about others? What about others? Do you agree to it or not? Of course, we will have to agree to this particular statement. We will have to agree to this statement. Every dimension of our life, every aspect of our life is influenced by public administration. And that is the reason why it is said today we live in an era where public administration is present. It is present from womb to tomb or from cradle to grave, है ना? Womb to tomb, बच्चे के पैदा होने से उसके मरने तक पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का रोल है. फ्रॉम क्रैडल टू ग्रेव, है ना? यानी क्रैडल मतलब होता है जो बच्चे का नो जो इनिशियल जिसमें बच्चा पलता है ना, पालना जिसे बोलते हैं, वहां से लेकर ग्रेव, दैट मीन्स द एंड, there is a role of public administration there. Hence the significance of public administration. Okay, we have not completed this very idea of, no, of course, the significance part. It is not completed as of now, but yes, we have we have looked at different points related to the role. Why is there a growing importance related to it? और यहां से हमें यह भी देखना है that there are certain views related to how scholars put it. So there are some statements that we will be talking about tomorrow. And under those statements, we would further try and understand how important it is, how important is public administration, how significant it is. Okay? So this is where we are going to end our discussion for today. We'll meet tomorrow, same timing, and we will continue with our discussion. Okay? No, democracy is real. But even for the democracy to succeed, administration plays a very important role. It plays a very important role. ठीक है? देखो, पॉलिसीज कितने भी अच्छे हैं, आपका विजन कैसा भी है, क्योंकि दैट्स व्हाट पॉलिटिक्स डज. पॉलिटिक्स और डेमोक्रेसी, द पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स दैट आर देयर, दे present a vision. They're responsible for presentation of a vision, but that vision becomes a reality because of administration. Okay, so democracy is definitely real, but administration plays a key role in even the success of any democratic system. So sometimes it becomes confusing because scholars have different view on which simple say. ठीक है, देखो, you will get used to it because we have just started with our discussion. So there is a possibility that you may initially find these things to be a bit complicated. Not complicated, more importantly, it is not something that you are used to study. That is the reason why if you are facing any problem related to it, it's just because of that. Two things. One thing that will ensure that you are able to overcome this is your revision. When you read things again and again, try and retain it, you will be able to overcome this problem. Okay? Okay, that's it. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.